And then like they started revealing the cast. It's got Ben Starr and Andy Samberg and not Samberg. Circus. That would be wild.
That is crazy. What are you doing in this game, dude?
What you say?
Yeah, Andy Serkis.
He was in that Borderlands Tiny Tina game. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
What is up, gamers and RPG fans, and welcome back to Game Gems, the show where we go hands-on with the latest hidden gem video games and give you our initial impressions. Today we're checking out Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the stunning new RPG from Sandfall Interactive. I am Christian Macias. Joining me once again, video lead Peter Huntspatek. Welcome back, Peter. Are you ready to join the expedition main?
I am, and can I be honest with you, Christian? I'm ready to learn what the title means.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Give me a second, though. I want to give you just kind of the layout of the game when I got it.
Yeah,
First
please,
of all,
please.
Shout out Sam Hallahan. He passed the code along to me for this series, and you know, I got this email, and it was a preview slice of this game. I was told it would take somewhere around 4 hours to complete. Right, and sort of by accident, I ended up playing way more than I thought I would. I got roughly 7 to 8 hours of game time with Expedition 33, split between main scenario and some kind of off the beaten path kind of stuff that I just organically came across. And all of this to say, I went from having Expedition 33 in like my periphery of games to play this year to this being one of my most anticipated games of the year. I was so really pleasantly surprised with not just the pitch of the game, but how engaging and stylish this freaking combat was, dude. It was so good. And I ended my demo. I'm like, man, I'm kind of bummed I have to wait a couple of weeks before the game even comes out. I kind of wish I was already playing it right now.
Wow, that's saying something, because I know you are not like a huge turn-based RPG kind of guy.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. I think they do some really fun stuff with the turn-based mechanics of this game. And you're right, I am not huge on it. One of the reasons why I kind of fell off most recently Metaphor is because of like that opening sort of introduction for Metaphor. I didn't find the gameplay super interesting, and I know you had to play a couple of hours for it to like, you know, get a bit more complex and intricate. And I ended up not having the time to fully commit to that. Within, you know, a couple of battles, I'm like, oh, I understand what this game wants me to do, and I want more of this. And it only gets bigger and broader and more intricate. It's so we're gonna go into like the deep mechanics just as we talk naturally about the, you know, through the course of this video. But just want to get that off my chest. Yeah, turn-based for me, not my favorite, but in this game, it rips, dude. It is so good.
The thing about this, when it was first revealed, I think it was first revealed, correct me if I'm wrong, at the Xbox showcase at Summer Game Fest. Is that correct?
That sound last year's SGF, I think, right after SGF.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
If it wasn't, that was the first I remember hearing about it. And I remember seeing like the visuals, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, you know, like, at first blush, I was like, okay, this is kind of just like a generic action fantasy game, sure. Yep. And then all of a sudden in the trailer, it was like, oh, this is actually a really stylish turn-based RPG. And I went from being like, I do not care about this game, to like, oh, okay, hello, Expedition 33, whatever your title is. And then like they started revealing the cast. It's got Ben Starr and Andy Samberg and not Samberg. Circus. That would be wild.
That is crazy. What are you doing in this game, dude?
What you say?
Yeah, Andy Serkis.
He was in that Borderlands Tiny Tina game. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is I am also kind of majorly on board with this, and to hear that you specifically are on board with this has me actually very, very excited. So can you tell me what about the combat really is hooking you?
Yeah, you're gonna see it a little bit here in action right now. Essentially, it's turn-based, of course. Like, you're gonna take turns between your party roster, and then the enemies on screen that are left will attack you. But the thing that makes it interesting, my touchstone to this is Paper Mario. It's real-time defensive mechanics when enemies attack you. So you can either dodge or parry, and the parry or the dodges are so stylish and crunchy, and it's just difficult enough to like you have to pay attention to enemies' movesets and learn how the timing of each move is different from any of their other moves or any of the other enemies, and it takes kind of a fair bit of skill to like learn how to effectively pull those off to get a counterattack. That in its own right just feels good to play. But then they introduced this system where successfully parrying or dodging will give you this blue meter down below your health bar. It's like kind of the AP meter, and that's the meter you build up to perform your special moves, as opposed to any kind of like mana meter that you would find in a traditional like RPG where you have to have mana to perform those special skills. It is just like, okay, if you engage with the game's mechanics, you can now perform more special moves that like do more damage. And that feedback loop is so good. Quick second, I wanted to mention this. We found this mime. He's like a side boss. You know, you can find and come across. He unlocks an outfit. I'm gonna put it on for a second. Tell me this doesn't freaking look like Sam Hallahan here. You're gonna see it right now.
I mean, the face already is definitely looking like, oh wow.
That is Sam Hallahan right there. That's him, dog.
Please pull up a photo in the edit here and with the baguette on the back. I love it.
I already asked Sam for a photo in advance. Like, I'm going to put this in the edit. He's gonna show up. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Can I ask? So you've got like a little robotic arm there. What is the story of this? Is that something you wanna touch on?
I do. So the story kind of reminds me of something you'd find from like a young adult book or movie. I know that's usually kind of derogatory criticism in things of like YA culture. It can be, but like I mean that in a complimentary way. Like it reminds me of something like The Giver or maybe even The Maze Runner. The pitch is, so it's a fantasy sci-fi-ish game about defeating an evil woman named the Paintress. Every year, she wakes up and paints a number on this giant monolith that you saw at the beginning of the video. And every person who is that age of that number just dies. And so that number has been ticking down one by one, year after year. And every year, there's a new expedition to try and go destroy the Paintress so that she obviously can't paint again. And so the next number on the list is 33, and we are 33 years old. So we're joining this group that is Expedition 33, filled with people who are giving their last year of life to destroy the Paintress. And that's kind of like why I'm getting this kind of YA sort of inspiration from the story. Like it's slotting somewhere in between like a really strong Apple TV or an Amazon Prime, like premiere original. Gaming wise, I'd maybe say it's something like between, you know, Metaphor and the more recent run of Final Fantasy games, like 16 specifically.
Can I say though that I do appreciate that you've got a turn-based RPG starring like not just like adults, but like real adults. Like 33 years old is like old enough to be like it's like a real adult, as opposed to I feel like so many of these types of games star like school children or, you know, like everyone's like 16 or 18 or whatever. You know what I mean? 20s, I just think that's kind of cool.
Peter, these are people nearly my age. Yeah,
there's some real good representation there.
I will say, like the 7-ish, 8 hours that I played, like the narrative hook is there. Like I'm super intrigued to see where it goes. I can't give you any definitive answers on like how much that quality is sustained long term, obviously, because I haven't played the full game. But what I can say though is that even with like the little bit of context that I got from the prologue, for me, it is the performances of these characters that are really elevating some of this dialogue. Specifically, so our main guy we're playing as, Gustav, he's played by Charlie Cox, of course, of Daredevil fame. And dude, he is like oscillating between like this like stoic guy, and then this vengeance-driven dude, and then this melancholic dude. All sometimes even in the same scene. Like these cutscenes that kind of go on for a little while, and they're really well performed. And to me, like that is what is elevating like the narrative aspect of the game.
What? No. We have a mission.
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune! What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the Paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When? one falls. Not if, when. We knew not all of us would make it, but we continue. As long as even one of us stands, our fight is not over.
But I'm not afraid to fight. It's just Mael.
Mael swore the same oath.
I know that.
She chose her life. You and I... Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
Any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that? Do you?
I hope I do.
I'll insert some clips here and there. You'll see some of that as we kind of progress through this video. But like, yeah, it is really good, dude.
Yeah, and I'm just looking here too at the rest of the cast. You got Jennifer English as Malay. She was, of course, is that from Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes.
One of those main characters. Oh, and you've got Andy Serkis and Ben Starr, and then I'm not familiar with Kirsty Ryder or
that's Luna. She's on screen right now,
too.
and she's from Sandman and Sifu as well. I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know if Sifu the game or Sifu the upcoming film, but either way, she's fantastic as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when they did a big like reveal of the cast of this, and it was one of those things where like, oh, this is gonna have some top tier talent. Is this Charlie Cox's first game though? Does he?
I think
do
so.
Other video games?
I think so. I don't remember him in any other game, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, I'm really into this. The visuals of this looks great. And can I say, welcome back, Turn Order on the left side of the screen. Like, thank you for being there.
That's nice. That's nice to see because I can kind of plan ahead a little bit. You've seen nothing yet. This game is like very, very visually inspired. But I've left that for the back half of the edit. We're gonna get in there. I wanted to mention you mentioned like how like kind of stacked the cast is. It is kind of impressive, the pedigree of talent they have, given that this is the developer's debut title.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like, what is this game? Like who is this studio? You know?
Okay, so for me, like, that speaks volumes. Not just like to have this kind of showcasing this pedigree, but to be so confident to give me what is essentially like a gameplay chunk. A serious chunk of Act 1 months ahead of release, and to be like, play it and then just give us your thoughts on it, full stop. And like, yeah, good for them. They are proud of the work they've done, and it's paying off, dude, because like I'm all in on this one.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I did not need much other than that original trailer to be interested in this, but after that, again, that cast announcement, and then now just seeing this just looks phenomenal. Like what is so nice though about this is that it does feel like turn-based RPGs have kind of become a thing of the past. Not exactly, but it feels like if you're going to do a turn-based RPG, you're going to need some gimmicks. You know what I mean? You're going to need this, that, and whatever. Or you look at like Final Fantasy, which has, for the most part, like gotten away from, turn-based. Obviously, Final Fantasy 16 was entirely real time, and then Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and Remake and all that. Like, they do have that turn-based element with that APB meter and all that sort of thing, but it is a real-time combat sort of situation. So to see like a new RPG that is sort of going for this like AAA feel, and that it isn't interested in or that it's interested in like being a turn-based RPG, I think is kind of cool.
I'm going to move away from your very insightful response because there's lots to unpack there. But I want to say that this is the continent. It's essentially the map of the game that is a real-time map that you can traverse as a character. Kind of weird to describe here. Like, you kind of have to see it in action just to like understand what it's going for. Like, you saw the actual map pop up for a second, and then I exit out of it, and I'm just walking across the map as if it were, a piece of paper down below with like a bunch of miniatures, and I'm kind of shrunken down, or maybe magnified up. I don't know. And there are like things to find in the overworld map and enemies to fight as well. And lots of side areas to kind of discover as you go. So here's one of the side areas. I ended up like going into this cave that was marked dangerous. And I was like, oh, let's see how dangerous it is. It's the very first enemy just that appears on screen. And I got stomped on immediately. I got one shot in. And I was like, yep, I can't do this.
Quite dangerous, I say. That's kind of cool though. That's very reminiscent of like old school Final Fantasy, or even 100 Heroes. I think use a system like that. That's a pretty traditional JRPG system. Where is this studio based? You know, this isn't a
France.
JRPG, is it?
They are French.
Gotcha. Yeah, look at you, just down in one.
I know. And then like you can play the game in French as well. Like it gives you the options for the voice cast. Like they're showcasing a lot of like French actors as well. They're proud of their French actors that they've got on here. Of course, I'm more familiar with the Western cast. But that's not to say that Charlie Cox does do a little bit of like a Frenchman kind of accent, because some of the dialogue is like French idioms, like putain de merde, which I don't know if I should translate.
Now, I'm not a Frenchman, can't speak French at all, other than to say, je ne suis pas espion, which means I'm not a spy. Care to translate that for me at all, or no?
Essentially just like, what would be the effect of like, fucking shit, you know?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you. You always assume that when people speak another language, they're saying something mysterious and classy, and I'm glad to know that they speak just like me.
This is just like when Lorelai Gilmore goes to a dinner and says, "Vous voulez coucher avec moi ce soir?"
Which means?
I will not repeat that. I will not be translating this. Instead, let's talk about how visually inspired this environment is. You're seeing a cutscene here, but dude, the like visual of being I'm in water, I think, but like it's not,
but you're not wet. Yeah. So you're not underwater.
And you have the fish and the giant like whales and like the various like sunken ships that are like, have been sunken. There's like in the environment that you can kind of explore, or at least see off in the distance. Very cool. And I'll tell you, Peter, right now, I love a good like water themes, especially good water combat themes. This has them.
Yeah.
This has them.
It's got him.
It's got him.
Well, that's good. Yeah, this does look quite interesting. Oh yeah, and it is cool that you're just like walking around. You're underwater, but you're not. Is there a lot of like cool like world building and real like reasons for why the world is like this and things like that?
There is. There's a lot of like little journals you can find while exploring that. There's a lot of cutscenes too when you're kind of traversing through the main path kind of stuff that give you a lot of context as to what's going on. I obviously chose not to showcase those here because I want to showcase a lot of the gameplay. Kind of leave the story bits for you to uncover as you play yourself when the game releases. But yes, the answer is yes. There's a lot of that going on. Also, here's a merchant. I thought this system was pretty interesting. If you want to unlock more items in the shop, you have to fight the merchant.
Oh, that's actually really cool. That's actually really, really cool. I like that a lot.
And he's no pushover, man. It kind of giving me a little bit of hands.
Yeah. That is actually really cool. Just like fight the merchant. Okay, sure. Do each of these characters, obviously imagine they have their own like special abilities and stuff like that? Or is it the sort of thing where you're like giving them jobs and slotting those things in and out?
They each have their specific like play styles, if I will. I would be talking too long if I kind of gave you the rundown of the intricacies of their combat, but like Gustav is kind of the melee guy. His thing is like the more you attack, the more you build up this overcharge. Like right now I'm at 9 out of 10. And the more overcharge I build, if I use the overcharge ability, the more damage I'll do. More lightning damage I'll do. Luna is the super interesting kind of like mage person who can do elemental abilities. And the unique twist there is, let's say you use an ice ability. You now have you're now holding an ice charge in your kind of that right-hand side, the same way like I'm building overcharge. Like it'll show up that I have an ice charge. If I do a fire ability next, it'll consume the ice charge that I made to do extra damage. And so different elemental abilities will consume different charges that you make. to do extra damage. And then, of course, like enemies will either be resistant or immune to certain elements. And so there's kind of a complex interplay like, okay, if I want to be doing the maximum damage, I have to do these moves first to then get to my ultimate move that'll like destroy this enemy once and for all.
Sure. But to clarify it, like these characters have one specific thing that they do.
Yes.
And so when you're
Correct.
creating your team, okay, got it. It's not like, it's not like a job system where you're like slotting each. Got it. Okay.
We showed it off earlier. We were kind of talking over it, but the sort of things that you can slot in and out are these pictos, they're called, which are essentially perks for your character. That will do these like kind of like these little passive buffs when you're like, you know, chance for critical damage, chance to mark enemies to weaken them, things like that. And the interesting thing here is if you complete 5 battles with the perks assigned to a character, you can unlock them for other characters as like how should I say this? As a kind of an inventoried item. Like you have like 5 charges for your other party member to equip perks that other party members have. So you can have technically more than 3 active perks going at one time if you have more of that available to the new party member. It's a little bit complicated to describe, but trust me, when it's introduced, you understand it really easily.
Okay. Can I say I like the design of the enemies too, that they're like these things that like fit in with the world but look like kind of like these like malignant pieces of it, you know what I mean? That are like kind of hulking and sort of like uncomfortable to look at. It's cool. They look really sweet.
Actually, all of the enemies are disturbing. We didn't get to see a bunch of them from the early section because I wanted to show off this kind of water world as well, but they all have some kind of insidious nature to them, and they all speak in this like roar that for some reason we can understand. But like when you're hearing it, it's kind of not jarring, but like uncanny or discomforting.
Mm-hmm. Can I say like maybe it's just because it's on the mind for me lately, but it's like reminds me of like Liza P a little bit with the way that you've got like the Victorian sort of like clothing and stuff like that ish. You know what I mean? And then these like kind of like monstrosities built on the world around this. You know? And
that arm, that prosthetic arm.
Oh, and the prosthetic arm. I didn't even put that together, Christian.
Look at us, huh?
Does the prosthetic arm do anything, or is it just character design?
It's my overcharge. So when I build it up,
that's right. You mentioned that. Sorry.
It also it's what I use to transform my hand into a gun, to shoot enemies. Yeah, very sick.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very good. Very cool.
Peter.
And this game the game looks great. I'm interested based on the combat that you've shown. I'm all in.
Expedition 33, releasing April 24th. I believe it's $50 US. Very soon.
Ooh.
Coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC. And that was this week's Game Gems. Let us know what you think of Expedition 33 down below. For all things fantasy, RPG, make sure you stick with the gamer.